everybody. I'm sitting here with one of the top state representatives in the nation, a fellow member of Kappa Alpha Psi, Lamont Robinson.
Glad to be here. Thank you so very, very much for having me.
Go ahead and tell how long have you been in this position now? You took it 2 years ago?
A year. This is my first session.
Oh, wow. You've been a year. How's it been?
You know what? It's been a great first session. We passed a balanced budget, which we have not had a budget in 4 years, which has been devastating, particularly to the African American and Latino communities. We have passed cannabis, sports betting, legalization of marijuana, sports betting, gaming. We also have the capital bill. So money is flowing back into our communities that have been ravished by the budget passed.
Definitely. Well, we appreciate all of your hard work. I'm hearing this is definitely one of the busiest sessions that they've had in quite a long time. So we just want to commend you for all the work that you do. What drove you into politics? You have a district that has a lot of needs, but what I notice is your district is actually starting to drive. So what actually pushed you into politics? Because it's a tough job that you have.
Sure. I've served on 2 economic development boards. One is QCDC that brought affordable housing and a Walmart at 47 Cottage Grove. It was a liquor store that was there that had several shootings and drug activities. I also served on another board called the Greater Englewood CDC that brought Whole Foods and Chipotle and Starbucks to the Englewood community right by Kennedy King College. And so because of those boards that I served on, I understand that we need economic development and also having a business at 51st in Indiana and also living there as well. I've come home on several occasions that my block was roped off, either my alley or my street because of a shooting. And I would go to council meetings, community meetings, and I just wasn't seeing the move. And I thought as a business owner, as a taxpayer, as a homeowner, that nobody was listening to me. So I said, well, maybe if I run for office, have a seat at the table, folks will listen and maybe we can change the trajectory of our communities, particularly of where my business is and where I've lived for the last 7 years. And so I ran really to move the needle, to try to bring economic development into my district, my community, and then also to figure out what ways we can stem the violence that we're seeing right outside the door.
Oh, nice. So you mentioned coming home sometimes and the blocks being roped off. And I like that too. Not the block being roped off, but the fact that you actually live in the heart of the community, not on the outskirts, not on the side of the community that doesn't look like it's a part of the community. You're in the heart of it, interacting with the people on a day-to-day basis. But, talking about some of the crimes, when we look at criminal justice reform, what do you think one of the biggest obstacles is?
On the criminal justice reform piece, I'm happy to say that I've replaced Juliana Stratton, who is our current lieutenant governor, and that was her mainframe, criminal justice. And so I'm happy to take that torch, which is why I think that it was great that we passed the legalization of cannabis, and that has an expungement process, because a lot of times the violence that we're seeing is folks don't have jobs.
Right.
And so expunging those records will be able to put people to work. But I think that we need to step back and look at neighborhood schools, to be able to fund properly our neighborhood schools, which is why I put a bill forward to call opportunity zones in the entire state, to be able to do wraparound service in neighborhood schools. I worked at a school through QCDC called Rivers Elementary that has job training for parents, that has a before and after school program, that has a health center. We do that in communities that, again, have been ravished by the war on drugs, been ravished by some of the shootings that have happened in our communities. That's social justice reform. We need to be able to get in communities, work in our neighborhood schools, to really stem the violence that we're seeing. And that's something that I put forth in my bill.
Oh, absolutely love it. So a lot of times we talk about re-entry. What do we do for people who are coming out of correctional facilities? How do we get them reacclimated or reintegrated back into the community? And that's very important. But you're touching on a piece that a lot of people don't touch on, and that's no entry. What type of environment are we creating for the people not to end up in the correctional facilities in the first place? And I really like to hear that. That's how you fight recidivism, and that's how you actually make America great. So you have a lot of committees on the Public Safety Committee, and that's one of the ones that interests me most. What agencies are you assigned to?
Sure. So any public safety, whether it be police, anything dealing with public safety comes through the Public Safety Committee. We are the purse strings for public safety across the entire state. So any of the agencies that deal with public safety meet before our committee. And I'm very happy to be on that committee because, again, we have to work with police to also figure out ways to stem violence. And we want to make sure that we fund programs that we're looking at mental health.
Oh, wow.
That we also making sure our officers have training to be able to deal with our communities like the one that we sit in the 5th District.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think you're hitting on all of the cylinders. Mental health. How problematic is it, not just in your community, but nationwide, collectively?
You know, we are having, first of all, in the city of Chicago, we're having high violence numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But if we look at the closure of mental health clinics, particularly in the city of Chicago, if we look at that time frame, our violence numbers has increased around the same time we've closed these centers. Folks can't get help. They can't get the mental health. They can't get their prescription drugs that they need. And so that's why we're seeing a violence uptick in Chicago. We have to be able to, again, fund mental health. And we have not done that. But I look forward to working with our new mayor, Lori Lightfoot. I look forward to working with our governor, who I know is really understands this is an issue and we have to be able to fund it. But just across the country is your question. Mental health is something that we do not really focus in on. And it also is something, particularly in the African American community, that we don't focus in on. We know that we have loved ones that have illnesses, that have issues mentally. We have to get them checked out. It shouldn't be a plague, so to speak. We should be open to really getting folks having some testing done. That way that we can help our people. And it's something that shouldn't be taboo in our community. And so we need to do more about educating our folks on mental health.
Definitely. And the stigmas that come with mental health, I agree with you 100%. We have to remove the stigmas. Mm-hmm. It's okay to go see a therapist, but more importantly, we have to reopen these mental health facilities that they shut down and just give people an opportunity. You know, with the things that are happening in our communities across the country, it's enough to make anybody have mental illness. And we just got to go ahead and fight this. Moving forward in the next 2 years, what are your plans?
You know, my plan is continue to do the work that I've already been doing. I spent 7 years at City Colleges as a professor.
Wow.
I spent about 8 years running Capital Leadership Institute of Chicago that has sent hundreds of young men to colleges all across the country. I'm also a small business owner. As I mentioned to you a little earlier, I've served on economic development boards. My plan is to continue to do the work that I've been doing for the community, particularly in the 5th District. I'm looking to bring resources back to the district, whether that be funding for some of our social programs, social services programs, but then also making sure that we put more funding in our neighborhood schools, that we, again, make sure that we fund some of the violence programs that have not been funded in the last budget and past. And so my role is to not only bring back funding, but also put people to work and look for opportunities that we can create economic development in the 5th District.
Well, everyone, you heard it here. You heard it first from one of the top state representatives in the country. I'm a big fan of this man, and he's got a bright future. Mental health, substance abuse, anger management, his background, he's hitting on all cylinders, and I think it's in our best interest to support him. And I'm very happy because he's a fellow member of Kappa Alpha Psi. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you.